We're going to talk about breastfeeding now. So I had a lot of difficulty with this. It's very much sold as this is the natural way to feed your baby. And of course, this whole slogan, breast is best, really puts moms on the spot. I had an underweight baby. And so there was a lot of pressure to keep Sid, like to get him up to the right percentile in growth. And when not enough milk is coming out of your breast and you've been told that that is the best way to nourish your baby, it's a bit of a, it really plays on you because you feel like this is your role as a mom. So I had to go to the lactation consultant. They did their thing. So we ended up having to supplement with formula, which felt so bad because society tells you it's so bad. So it was tough, and I really had to learn to let myself off the hook. Like, it was a tough thing to go through. How was breastfeeding for you?
You hit so many of the same notes that I went through. Yeah. I really didn't want formula to the point that at a week, my baby was also underweight. Mm-hmm. And to this day, I still struggle with the fact that I failed her. And it's because I should have given her formula. I wasn't able to produce enough, and I didn't, right? And we have that pressure as moms. And I was lucky, though, Trace, because before having her, I had friends that sat down with me and they told me about their breastfeeding challenges. And I think moms, a lot of the time, are scared to share. Mm-hmm. They don't want to scare you, right? Yeah. And they told me it's hard. And I was so happy and appreciative because they literally freed me of the expectations that I had of myself to breastfeed magically, like it's all natural. They freed me from that feeling of failure, Yeah. But inevitably, I still had less milk. My baby had trouble latching, so I struggled with lactation clinics. And I just had bloody nipples that were raw. And putting a baby back on bloody nipples 4 or 5 times a day is very, very painful, right?
Yes.
And so luckily, I had the support, and I was able to work through it over the last few months and make it work and make it that experience you're looking for. People say you should look for.
Right. Those bleeding nipples, man. Oh Every time the baby was hungry and Leo would be like, he's hungry, I'd be like, oh my gosh, someone give this baby a steak and potatoes because I can't right now. There's also the pressure, this 6-week mark is supposed to be, well, you're back now, 6 weeks. 6 weeks is the time in the United States when they have to go back to work. So for some reason, it's become the standard for you're back to yourself now. It's been 6 weeks. It's the time when you're supposed to be able to have sex again. So Amanda, talk to us a little bit about the post-baby sex. How did you feel about it in the 6-week mark?
So I felt that pressure. I was like, well, we hit that number. And I was like, we're going to do this. Meanwhile, my husband was over here like, lady, like, we just had a C-section. I saw all of the inside on the outside. I'm still coping. And he's a little older than me. And he was like, I got a new baby. I got a job. Like, he was going through all the things. And I felt this pressure. So he had to kind of remind me, like, I'm going to be here in 12 weeks. Like, whenever you're ready, we'll be ready together. But I really had to kind of take that and go, what am I actually looking for? Oh, I'm looking for that intimacy with my partner, that I'm not just a mom, like leaking milk and all of these things, and find ways to connect to like that other side of myself.
Yes.
And it was a tricky time, and we figured it out. There is another baby, but it was a journey. And even now, my younger sister just had a baby, and I'm like, take your time. Like, we just pushed some babies out. We're going to deal with the other things later. So
these date and time milestones are completely arbitrary. Throw them out and do what works for you. Like, just get rid of them. Yeah. Speaking of throwing things out, I want to talk about the snap back and the bounce back. Sarah J., you've got some thoughts on that.
I really hate the term bounce back.
Yeah.
Because I was always, we always hear bounce back. But there's no back that we're bouncing to. We have made babies.
Yeah.
And we are our new selves. So we really have to normalize going into our new bodies, our new future. Our lives are not the same. Mm-hmm. So why do we expect to bounce back to something that is not there anymore? The person that we were is not the person that we are. We have to love ourselves, and we have to love our children. And really, we just need to normalize our new selves.
Absolutely. Other Sarah, you have spent a lot of time on your page, on your Instagram, talking about this idea of bounce back. Talk to me about some of the thoughts that you went through when you were going through your postpartum moment.
Yeah, so after my first 3, I started sharing about coming to terms with a lot of postpartum for myself, 8 years after the fact, and it was like I'd never seen stretch marks before, and I wanted to talk about some of the differences and changes, and I needed to be able to process all of this even 8 years later. And then going into this one, I thought, you know what, I've got it, and I'm in this arena, I know it, and I was so humbled. I felt like I was really brought back to just the difficulties and the realities of how it felt. And when I was pregnant, I wrote this. The ask is stretch, grow, birth, bleed, nurse, lose sleep, and make it look like nothing happened at all. And I was speaking from fear. I was speaking from the realities of what I know was coming, which is the bounce back culture. But then I gave birth, and I repeated those words. The ask is stretch, grow, birth, bleed, nurse, lose sleep, and make it look like nothing happened at all. But no. Let them see it. Let them know every single bit of it, because this is the beauty of the afterglow.
Yes. Oh, I'm leaving it right there on those words. I love that. More